Hello folks, and welcome back to another edition of BC Renovation Magazine. This video is the second video in a little mini-series that I've got going here that is going to show you the process of refinishing the interior walls and ceilings in a mobile home. In the first part, we kind of gave you an introduction and showed you around the job here, how we've got to this point where we're going to start doing this refinishing work now inside. And I'm going to be creating a playlist on this little series. So if you're interested, you can check that playlist out. I'll provide a link for it down in the description. So today I want to talk a little bit about the tools and materials that we're going to use, to get this job done. And there's, it's a bit of a system I've worked out here to do this. This is not the first time I've done this, and I've had good success with this little system that I have. So today I'm going to explain to you, some of the tools that you need to have to do this if you're going to do it yourself, and just again some of the materials that you have to work with to get this done. So I'll turn the camera around here and we'll start talking about this. So in this home, and this is going to be typical with most of your mobile homes, some of your older ones will have paneling. Basically, this technique works the same if you have that wood paneling. Here we have the gypsum, Vipsum. It's called Vipsum, V-I-P-S-U-M. And so, in the last video we kind of talked about that. But here we have some old Vipsum. We've got this Vipsum. This is the original Vipsum here. It's got this, kind of texture on it. Here we've got the old Vipsum that somebody has done some decorator work and they put some kind of decoupage or whatever you want to call it on it, and it's been painted. In that room over there, it's been painted. Here we have it's been painted. Here we have some new drywall that we put there at the end of the tub and up on the bulkhead. We have some patches. This Vipsum here, like this particular panel here, this is a smooth Vipsum. Again, it's a Vipsum product, but this one is smooth. It's not textured like this one is up here. So we have all of this random kind of stuff going on here. Up on the ceiling, we've got kind of raw drywall, which is old drywall. So old drywall, new drywall, different kinds of Vipsum. But this system is going to bring it all together. So now you're going to get some people, and I mentioned this in the last video, how, if you try to get a professional taper to do this, it's kind of like, at least around here, it's like, good luck doing that. Nobody's going to be interested in that. So, some people will suggest that you just take all the drywall out, take all this old drywall out, and, start over with new drywall. Well, the thing about that is that the interior walls in these mobile homes are the panels are glued to the studs, and so they don't put any screws in the middle like I have done here. This is glued to the stud, and they only, you can see where these staples are here, and then they put a batten strip to cover this, and that's how it's done in the factory. So if you're going to start taking this drywall off, you're going to have it pulling off. The glue is going to stick to the stud. The paper is going to come off, pull off the back. Chunks of the drywall are going to come off, and you're going to have a real mess on your hands as far as having to clean up those studs before you can put something new on top, because it's going to be all bumpy. On the outside walls, in this particular home, again, it wasn't attached here at all. Underneath this, there's a vapor barrier. So none of these panels are glued. They just kind of float in between the joints. So here you have a joint, and then 4 feet over you have another joint. Okay, and so in this particular home, there is a vapor barrier underneath this panel, against the studs. I have done with these where there is no vapor barrier, where this is again glued onto those studs, and you start pulling that off, that it can be a real mess. In this situation with the vapor barrier, if you're going to pull these panels off, then you're going to have to redo your vapor barrier, because you're going to damage the vapor barrier, and it will become ineffective. So in my opinion, the best thing is to leave it alone. Just work with what you have here, and that's what we're going to do. I also know somebody that put drywall on top of this drywall. So they left it because of the things I just talked about, and they just bought new drywall and went right over top. Well, the problem with that is, first of all, it's expensive. You're re-drywalling the whole thing. Drywall is not cheap, especially for us in Canada. We have some pretty heavy tariffs on it. A 4x8 sheet of drywall is like 14 bucks, And what can happen with that is then you start putting drywall on top. Now you can see in this situation right here, our door frame is really close here. And if we start, piling drywall on here, it cuts into where, like, our trim. So when we ultimately put trim on this, we can end up where we don't have room for our trim anymore. So you have to think about that. Another big one is that when you install any electrical boxes, if you're going to be to code, the electrical boxes have to be flush with the metal edge. Or if you're using plastic, whatever, the box has to be even with the face of your drywall or your finish here. It can't be set back in. So you see, if you put drywall on top of this, then now all of a sudden you have, like, if you put ½ inch, you're going to have that box is going to be ½ an inch back in there. And that's not the code. So then you have to start modifying your electrical boxes in order to, you have to put a little liner thing in here. And it's just a pain in the butt, and it's more expense that you don't really need to do. So the system that we have, the materials that we use to do this, now there's several kinds of drywall mud that you can buy. There's finishing mud, and there's different kinds of mud. This is the one that I use. Now the brand doesn't matter, so this just happens to be certainteed. This is a Canadian-made product, and there's another brand is called Synco, Synko. But the thing that works for us here with this is all-purpose or general purpose. This is the important part of this. This is a joint compound that we want to use. So this is designed for fill and finish coats, and it also is specified on the box that it's good for bonding the tape. So bonding the tape is the first step in this process, and so you have to have a compound that's going to be compatible with the finish the wall finish that we have here, and the tape, and it all has to work together. If you use like a topping compound to set your joints, your tape joints, what's going to happen is that it will eventually let go, because it's not designed to bed that tape that we're going to be using. So I buy it in these cardboard boxes, and so you can see this is what it looks like when you open it up. Inside there is a bag, and inside of that bag is is your compound. And so I've got one over here opened up. And you can see where I've taken it from this box. Okay, and here I've just put it in this pail, and you can see this is really thick. Like, this is almost like plasticine or like modeling clay. I don't know if you remember from when you were in school, but in art class, the teacher would bring out a big square hunk of modeling clay that was kind of the same, kind of the same shape as this, and then they'd whack off a hunk and give it to you, and you do your project. Well, this is kind of the same consistency, so you have to thin this down to make it so you can work with it. And you just do that with water, simply with water. Now you can also buy this compound in pails like this. This is another one, and this is actually the Synco brand. You can buy it in pails. This works well too. This is still very heavy consistency when you open up these pails, and you're going to have to thin it down as well. So the way you do that is you need to have a mixer, and this is heavy mud, so you need a heavy, you need a pretty heavy machine to do that. And so this is just a 1/2-inch drill. It's a heavy drill, and on it I have what's called a mud mixer. And so this is just a paddle, and in the next video I'm going to get into actually mixing up some mud, and we're going to show you how to get the right consistency of the mud here. But this basically is you just put water in there and you mix this until you get it to the right consistency that you want. Now this is kind of how I have my setup. My setup is very, very simple. I have my pail of mud here that I work out of, and when I'm not working, not taking mud out of that, I cover it with this to keep it from setting up on me. I have a pail here that I keep my mixer in, so that it doesn't get hard on me, and it's kind of my wash pail, and it's my I'll dip water out of there to put in there to mix my mud up. And this is my little mixing station. Okay, now some of the other materials that you're going to need is tape. And this is how you buy the drywall tape. It comes in these rolls. You can get them bigger rolls. These are 250-foot rolls. You can also get them in 500-foot rolls. I go with these smaller rolls because I do everything by hand, so it's easier to handle. So you're gonna need some way to put the mud on, and this is it. This is basically what I use. Is right here. This is gonna do. This is gonna do. Get out of the sun a little bit here. This is gonna do 90% of what I have to do. Right here. Now, there's a lot of drywall stuff you can buy, drywall tools that you can buy. Professionals have all kinds of machines and stuff that they have to put the mud on. Those are all great. They help them go faster, they go quickly. But, us as do-it-yourselfers, we have the time. Time is not so important to us, as far as that goes, if we do it ourselves. So, it doesn't matter if it takes a little bit longer. But basically what we have here is, this is called a mud pan. And what you do is you take the mud out of the bucket over there and you put it into here, and then you spread it on with these trowels. And so depending on what you do, you have various sizes of trowels. I will be starting with this. This is going to be it right here. This is what I'm going to work with, and the whole first phase of this, of putting the embedding the tape and putting the corner beads on, is going to be done with these tools right here. You can have all the tools that you want to do this for less than $100. Now, as I go along, you might see me pull out another couple of tools, and if I do that, I'll show them to you. But basically, this is all you need right here. This is do it. You're also going to need a little bit of sanding, so you're going to have a sanding block. Okay, you can get pole sanders and stuff, but this will do it for you. You don't need to buy anything more than that unless you want to. We're also going to be spraying these ceilings back again. So they had a heavy popcorn texture on them, and I'm going to be respraying them. In these mobile homes, the ceilings are not that great. There's things that you want to hide. So a little light, very, very light spray, will hide some of those defects in the ceiling. And I kind of like the look of it, as opposed to like just a flat painted ceiling. So when we get to refinishing these ceilings, there is some more equipment that I'm going to pull out and show you. I use an airless paint sprayer to put the paint on. Now you don't have to do that. Just a plain old pan and a roller will do for you, and a brush. You don't have to have a sprayer. And then I also have the hopper, the mud hopper, and a compressor to apply the texture, to spray it on. And so I'm going to be showing you how that works. If you have a compressor already, that hopper is pretty inexpensive to buy. It's less than $100, and it's a good investment if you're going to do a few ceilings, or if you're going to do your whole home by yourself. You can also rent those tools if you want. They're not that expensive to rent. So another thing we're going to be using here is corner beads. So, you know, the old corners had moldings on them. And so to make this look more, you know, more like a house, we're getting rid of all those moldings. We don't want those moldings. So this is what's called corner bead. And now corner bead is available in different styles. There's one that you can nail on. This is called a tape-on. And so this has a material here that's like drywall tape. And you know, I'm going to be showing you how we put this on, but you can see it's metal on the inside. But this basically, you know, goes on the corner like this, and then you tape it in and fill it to get those nice crisp corners. This is another molding here. This is an L molding, and I'll show you where we're going to use that. But this is basically the same idea as the corner bead, but you know, just different. We're going to be putting this in a different place. We're going to use this around the opening where the furnace is there, and around the electrical panel, and those places where the tile backer is to finish the edge of the tile backer. Now, I mentioned before in other videos that I don't like to use the fiberglass tape, and I'll show you why I don't like to use the fiberglass tape. Someone worked here before in this home, and yeah, here you can see it. Someone here worked in this home before when they did this decoupage thing, and you can see here where they used, you know, they pulled the moldings off, and then they used this fiberglass tape. You can see it here to cover this joint, to fill this joint. Well, you can see what's happened here with that fiberglass tape up above. It's cracked. Okay, and every place they've done that, it's cracked. All right, you can see it there. You can see that hairline crack. Okay, in the bathroom here, same thing. Someone did it in here, and they they used that tape. Here you go. This is that fiberglass tape, and you can see how this has failed. So that's why I don't use it. Here you can see again, right here. You can see the fiberglass strands right there, and you can see below this how it's all failed. That's why I don't use the fiberglass tape. If you use the paper tape, it's not gonna split on you like this. It just won't happen. All right. So the key to this, bringing this all together with all these different kinds of things that we have, is going to be the all-purpose drywall compound. Okay, and then ultimately, once we get it all filled and ready for paint, how we deal with, again, the new drywall, the old gypsum and all that stuff, is we use a PVA primer, and I'll show you that. I have it here. It's all sitting down here, ready to go. It's in these pails here, but this is basically a PVA primer. Oh, I'll try and turn it around. Okay. And so that seals your drywall compound, after you've sanded it out and everything. It's going to seal your new drywall. It's going to go over your old gypsum, your old painted gypsum. Doesn't matter. It makes everything stick, okay? It just seals everything, and it's going to make it all stick in the end. Okay, folks, so that's just a little thing to show you kind of here what what we're going to use to get this job going. Next video is going to be part 3 of this little series, and we're going to actually start putting some mud on the walls, and I'll show you how we embed this tape in the walls. All right, folks, thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.